Hey teacher friends, Dr. D. So every August, teachers everywhere start searching. I'm talking Pinterest, Teacher Paid Teachers, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. They're all looking for that perfect first day icebreaker. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoy a good icebreaker. Students are laughing, they're learning one another's names, and everyone starts to feel a little bit more comfortable. But here's the problem. Icebreakers are not a magic bullet for creating classroom community, and they're not going to substitute for a classroom management plan because learning someone's favorite food doesn't teach students how to work together, nor does memorizing everyone's name teach them how to communicate, especially when they're frustrated. So while many teachers are searching for that best activity, the fun first day activity, I want to challenge you with something bigger. What kind of classroom do you want to have in October, January, or May? Do you want students to know how to solve problems together, persevere when learning gets difficult? Then you need to teach intentionally these skills from the beginning of the class year. And certainly you could post some rules like respect one another, but that doesn't teach students what respect actually sounds like during a disagreement. And that's where community building becomes classroom management. The activities that I'm going to share with you today gives your students opportunities to practice communicating, collaborating, problem solving, and working through challenges together. Then after each activity, you ask your students what helped your group succeed, what made communication easy or difficult, and what agreements do we need to have for working together. Now your students aren't being handed a list of rules, they're creating meaningful agreements based on these experiences that they're having. And because they've helped create these agreements, they're going to be more likely to understand, follow them, and remember them when problems happen. So I want you to think of these activities as your beginning of the classroom management plan. And today I'm sharing all of them here. Check out the comments. And whether it's your first week, you're starting a new position mid-year, or maybe your class just needs a hard reset, these are go-to activities. And if we haven't met, I'm Dr. D. This is my channel, Teach with Dr. D. It's where I blend research with best practices to help you have success in the classroom. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and check out our classroom community that I've already established here. Let's get started and jump into our first activity. Okay, let's get started with activity number one of my all-time favorites, the Desert Island Survival Experience. And I've done this with classroom teachers, fifth graders, and let me tell you, some of their choices and explanations are hilarious. You give them the scenario. Imagine our entire class has been stranded on a deserted island. There's no internet, no Wi-Fi, no cell phones, no electricity, and guess what? No one is coming to rescue us anytime soon. You must choose 10 items that will help our group survive together. Now, some versions of this activity give the students a list, but I just ask the students, make your own list. No single correct answer, because I really want to see where their imagination takes them. And trust me, there's some interesting places there. Now, they get 5 to 7 minutes to work independently because I really want students to have ownership of their own thinking before they hear everyone else's idea. Then you put them into groups. Maybe the groups are 4 or 5. And from their groups, they must create a master list with only 10 items. They can't just combine their list of 50 things, right? They have to agree. One group, one island, one list. And everyone has to be able to defend their thinking. So you start to hear things in conversation like, oh, I agree, or I disagree, but that's actually a better idea. And my favorite, I've never thought of that. So when students are starting to work together and share conversations, I'm doing something else. I'm listening. Who's dominating the conversation? Who's changing their mind? And who is bringing something that is completely ridiculous that they will not let go of? And here's the thing. Cooperative learning, the research on that says that it strengthens relationships, communication skills, and it leads to academic learning. And this does not happen when you just have a poster up saying, work together. They have to actually practice that, right? So here's why the conversation after the activity is so important. We want to start asking the students questions that really get them to think about group work. Like, did everyone have an opportunity to speak? What did respectful disagreements sound like? Did anybody change their mind? And did everyone feel like their voices were heard? Maybe use those responses to create your classroom agreements. What should we do when someone else is speaking? How do we respectfully disagree? And how do we make sure that everyone's voices are heard? Now, instead of having a list of classroom rules, you're helping them create agreements, and they're experiencing cooperative group work firsthand. And you can always cue them and say, hey guys, remember the deserted island activity? What does successful group work look like? What should we be doing? To activity number 2. It's the Marshmallow Tower experience. And this is so much fun. You could even build this one after doing the island. Now they get to build a Marshmallow Tower. So students are placed in groups of 4, and you're giving them the following: 20 pieces of spaghetti, 1 yard of masking tape, 1 yard of string, and 1 marshmallow. They need to build the tallest freestanding tower with the entire marshmallow on top in just 18 minutes. Sounds simple? Not quite. You'll see those group dynamics emerge real quickly. One student starts building, another student wants to plan every detail, someone naturally takes the lead, someone gets frustrated when the tower falls, and someone's just gonna sit back and listen, watch everyone take over. So again, the tower isn't the lesson, the collaboration is. While students are building, you're gonna walk around, gotta resist that urge to give your 10 cents, but just listen. Who's encouraging? Whose ideas aren't being heard? And what happens when that marshmallow goes on top and the entire tower collapse? This is actually so much fun. I've done this with young children as early as kindergartens. And did you know that they actually tend to outperform those adults? Why? Because they're building, they're testing, they're not afraid of failure. They adjust and then they try again. This is all about productive struggle, which we teach so much in math, and we get to build it here in this activity. And guess what? When the timer ends, measure the towers and celebrate. But don't just stop there. Reflect. What happened when your first idea didn't work? How did your group handle disagreements? Did everyone have an opportunity to collaborate and contribute? Who else encouraged someone else? And what would you do differently? Then you turn those ideas into your classroom agreements. What should we do when someone's idea doesn't work? How do we respond when a student makes a mistake? And how can we make sure everyone contributes? This is a fun STEAM challenge, but it also builds community, because the tower is not the lesson, collaboration is. And students aren't just building with spaghetti and marshmallows, they're learning how to problem solve, listen, encourage one another, persevere when things literally fall apart. Okay, let's bounce over to activity number 3. This is one the students absolutely love. It's called the Amazing Race. It's the classroom experience. And this is where you bring everything together the kids have been working on. This is so much energy that's going to be in your room. Imagine the students walking in, music is playing, and there's these challenge activities all around the room waiting for the students. Now, the students are working in teams, they get a passport, and they get to go around the room completing all the activities. You might say, are we really racing? Yes, but there's a twist. The winning team isn't necessarily a team that finishes first. It's a team that earns points for completing challenges, including everyone, encouraging one another, and showing good sportsmanship, because I don't want speed at the expense of community, right? Each station is going to focus on a different soft skill that you really want your students to acquire. So station 1 could be something like the classroom quest. You can have the students find important places around the classroom, like where do we turn work in? Can you find supplies? What do you do if you've been absent? What can you do if you get stuck? And it feels like a scavenger hunt, but you're actually introducing classroom procedures without standing in front of the room reading from a slideshow, okay? And students are moving, they're exploring, they're learning from each other, and they're learning how the classroom works. Station number 2 is create a team handshake. So each team has 3 minutes to create a handshake that every member can perform. And this is where it gets really entertaining, right? So some teams keep it really simple. You might have a requirement like you need to have at least 4 moves, and then they can't remember it 30 seconds later. They can also create a gesture, a chant, or a team symbol so that everyone has the experience and accessibility for all. But underneath all of that, students are laughing, they're sharing ideas, and it's not just about the loudest person in the group, it's about working together. Station number 3, 5 things in common. Each team must write 5 things that they have in common with everyone in their group, but they can't use the obvious answers like, we're all in the same age and we're in the same group and we all attend this school. Like, boring. You can give points for creativity here. Let them dig deeper. Maybe everybody loves spicy food, or they have a younger sibling, or maybe they enjoy some of the same things, right? It's about getting them to know each other and finding common interests, right? Because oftentimes kids, they just look at each other and they judge and they decide what the person's like. But I want them to see beyond the surface, right? They want to see each other as people and begin to make those connections. Station number 4, what would your team do? Give each team a scenario. For example, 2 people both want to be the team leader, or someone's idea is being ignored, or a teammate makes a mistake. And then what they have to do is they have to decide how they're going to handle that situation respectively and then act out the solution. And this is really fun, but it also is a piece for classroom management, right? Because it's not something students just practice, it's something that they actually experience. And so instead of telling your students like, hey, be respectful, they get to see what that actually looks like, right? Station number 5 is the secret community mission. I absolutely love this one. I have students write 10 compliments about themselves, but everyone gets a different mission. Maybe their mission is to make 10 compliments about the teacher, but it could also be celebrate another team success, or, write a letter to someone in the room that's positive, or sing a song or a chant or a cheer. And, all these things really build cooperative learning because it's positive independence. Students are getting support from one another, and it's creating that cooperative group work that really makes a huge difference when you're building a classroom community. So every challenge is designed to teach students something: belonging, community, engagement. And after the race, then you certainly want to bring them all together again and ask them to reflect, right? Did everyone feel included? What was frustrating? How did you make decisions? And what did respectful communication sounds like? Synthesize those, put them into your classroom agreements, and then your students can really reflect on this experience, but also know that, hey, this is our classroom, and these are the strategies and tools that we're going to use when conflict arises. But it's not just focused on like what bad can happen, but also to like give them those good, healthy habits of mind, like celebrating each other's successes, giving each other compliments, and just creating that positive classroom culture. So remember, don't just tell students what a strong community classroom looks like. Give them an opportunity to experience it. The Amazing Race becomes that starting line for the classroom culture and community that you want to build all year long. Don't forget to check out the comments for PDFs of these activities, and leave a comment. What are you doing to build classroom community in your classroom? Which activity are you looking forward to getting started with? And what else would you like to see in our videos? So 3 choices there. It's all about empowerment. Let's do it and have a great start to the school year. See you next time.